Nelson Mandela, the strong warrior who truly fought for freedom in South Africa. A first African president who loved his people, irrespective of color, gender, or class. Tata, you have changed the way children feel about politics.
Oh, that was 10 years ago, believe it or not. This year, former President Nelson Mandela would have turned 100 years old. That was his 90th birthday celebrations. To honour his life and work, a number of events are being rolled out throughout the year to celebrate his centenary. One of the organisations that will be heading the centenary events, of course, is the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund that was founded by Madiba 23 years ago. The organisation strives to change the way society treats its children and youth. To talk more about what Nelson Mandela Children's Fund is doing this year, we're joined in studio by Sibongile Mkhabela, who of course is the CEO of the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund. So good to see you.
So good to see you.
Welcome again to
Thank you.
studio.
Thank you very much.
Such an important year. I mean, we think about the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund. It was formed 23 years ago with a vision from Tata himself to help children.
Yes.
It's still what it does, isn't it?
And he put a big vision. He said to change the way society treats children.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, it means that transformation of society to give them an idea of how children feel and how they do things was important to us. And we've done that. The Children's Hospital, I think, is one such project where we have shown what it means to treat children differently. But we do that every day. I see those kids there. They were that age at that point, but we continue to work with them and to track them. And part of what is going to be big this year is the focus on children and young people's voices.
Right. How are you going to do that? I mean, what is the sort of the events planned to help them?
Well, we have three major events. The first being just collecting the stories of people whose lives we have touched through him, or he's touched through us. I think that's the right way, that he's touched through us, the Children's Fund. You know, the work that we do, we start with children when they're small, and those are part of what we call our junior board. Our junior board has got 12-year-olds who tell me what to do.
And they know it best. They know
it best. They used to tell him. And these young people were exposed to, you know, conversations with Mr. Mandela, with the Board of Trustees, I mean, with the Chief Justices of this country, because we're trying to build the next caliber of young people who care about their country, who are active as citizens of this country. So we'll be exposing those children and showcasing those children, as well as communities that have been transformed. There are communities where, if I would tell you, the work of the Children's Fund, if you're looking at it bottom up, is when we entered one of the communities in Hamatabata. They were baking bread for children who were orphaned and vulnerable, but they were baking it on the ground. You know, they were using those ovens that traditionally are used, but then it meant they would produce less and less bread. The Children's Fund came in, walked with them, to the point when we exited working with them, they were already providing bread to the mines around them.
That's amazing.
Because that's what it's about. It's about restoring people's dignity, restoring families' capacity to hold its children and to bring up its children within a particular value base. So we're very proud of what we've achieved once we took the model, not of feeding children today, but of transforming their lives, their families, their communities, their schools. One of our biggest programs is safety in schools. And when we talk about safety, from the Children's Fund perspective, is not only safe from violence, it's also safe space for children to think, to be themselves, to exercise their own talents. And that's some of the things that we would want to showcase this year in a compilation of stories, which is called the stories that Madiba has inspired.
I think it's so important, and particularly when you look at the situation that so many of our children in South Africa find themselves in. And it's dire. Inadequate education, poverty, gender violence. I mean, the stories, child-headed households. The stories just carry on, and they are too frequent, and there are too many of them. This is one organisation that's trying to make a difference. So you tell the stories.
We tell the stories.
How do you help?
You know, I want to get to how dire the situation is going, because our theme this year is a Mandela in every generation, because we believe that the Mandelas continue to rise is what we do with them. Remember Mr. Mandela when he started. you always have to have the image of the young boy who's wearing his father's pants in his first classroom. Rural, had no chance. If no one took interest in him, he had absolutely no chance. And so this is the story. So in the midst of the poverty, the grinding poverty, there are stories that come out. There is excellence. There is people survive and people thrive. So we want to tell those stories because we think they're inspirational. They inspire us, at least. And then we want young people and children and young people to have a summit. So we're working towards a summit around June, July. Really, where South Africa, I would hope South Africa will be able to listen to children in the way they speak.
Yeah.
So they will not necessarily speak like I do in language. They might speak in drawings, in artwork, in play. All of those translate their thoughts, and we need to listen to these thoughts. So we're going to have one of our biggest events where we'll bring together every year, we have at least 10 young people who are our leaders. We call them the young ambassadors.
Yes.
They come out of children's parliaments, and children elect them to be their leaders for that year. So in the last 10 years, I would safely say I have 100 young leaders that we've grown in their communities. So when the last Children's Parliament was in Kimberley last year, so those were elected in Kimberley last year who represent every province. So we will bring together all these young people. There'll probably be about 300-400 young people. Fantastic. Who will come to one space and talk about not only their issues but solutions. Because the one thing that amazes me about these kids is how they're not thinking about themselves.
Yeah.
They're thinking about how to resolve some of the issues around agriculture. IT, how to resolve some of the poverty issues we face using IT. They're an IT generation, so the way they think differently from us. But we're also going to bring our leaders, and at this time we haven't sent out invitations, but I'm hoping our key leaders, young people who are leaders in our country, will come in and dialogue with these young people.
I think it's amazing. I mean, in a nutshell, what you're doing is you're giving the children of South Africa the biggest voice here to change the narrative, to talk to us, to tell us what it is they need, what we're doing wrong, and how to help them. And I think that that's incredible. We've got to invite you back because we've run out of time, but I know that every single month this year has been dedicated. There's a theme dedicated to every month. And you're
every
just
month,
going
this
to
month, let me tell you, it's this month.
Okay,
this month is the month of love, right?
Yeah.
It's February, so it's a month of love.
Of course.
And we start with Mandela starting the Children's Fund. He asked, he is confronted by children who say to him, "Why do you love us?"
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where that's the beginning of the Children's Fund. And he says, everybody loves you. And I think, so the theme of love and loving our children, caring for our children, is going to be a big theme for this month. And every month we'll run with a different theme based on that particular month.
That's fantastic. So I imagine all of these events and everything can be found on the website. Have you got it all up there?
Yeah.
Nelson Mandela Children's Fund?
We have volunteers who are trying to put it all together. It's not all together as yet, but they are putting it together.
They're putting it together.
We're dependent so much on volunteers.
We need an IT specialist to come in and set up this website, please, quickly, for the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund.
Please, come on.
Exactly.
Let's do this.
The children would want that. They would.
Children
I can promise you. Thank you for talking to us. Good luck. We wish you the best of luck with all of this. Sibongile Mkhabela, who is, of course, the CEO of the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund, talking to us about the Centenary this year and all of the events that the Children's Fund has got coming up this year. Just love this one. There is a Mandela in every generation. We just have to find him or her. Let's take a break. Sharp after this. Stay tuned. That's beautiful.